to be able to provide a context for what's at stake, not just on this first day of early voting, but through all 17 days and especially on November 3rd. Yes, I am very much so aware of the history of racist voter suppression in this state. But we understand that when we work together, when we organize together, when we mobilize together, we will win in North Carolina together. And so I'm very excited to be leading off this first of many press conferences that we will have across the state of North Carolina to ensure that residents understand that when they go to the ballot box, they're not going alone. There is a host of organizations committed to ensuring that they have access to the ballot. And in this election cycle, there is no one better to sound the alarm on this first day of early voting than our leader, the person that has fearlessly, for over 2 decades, fought in North Carolina to ensure equal access to the ballot and protection to all residents. At this time, it is my great pleasure to introduce our leader of North Carolina, your leader of North Carolina, the people's leader of North Carolina, the coordinator of the Poor People's Campaign, the founder of Repairers of the Breach, former North Carolina NAACP State Conference president, and now the drum major for our movement here to make sure that we will win in North Carolina. Please give a warm round of applause, Pitt County, for Reverend Dr. William Barber.
Good morning to members of the media, and forgive me for being late today. We had some trouble on the road with traffic. Let me say the most important thing today and every day are the people. Let me thank Marcus and Attorney Caitlin Swain, who will follow, and Dante Sharp, who will be casting his first vote today since he was wrongly incarcerated here in North Carolina. Now, this is not a black event. When we fought to stop voter suppression in North Carolina was targeted at black people and brown people, but it hurt everybody. It hurt our democracy. The purpose of us coming this morning at 8 o'clock is to say, and I want the media to hear this very clearly, Trump lies and Tillis lies. And we have come here to preemptively challenge their lies. Trump has lied about voter fraud, about voter suppression. He's lied about mail-in ballots. Senator Thom Tillis lied about voter suppression and passed the worst voter suppression bill in the country after the Shelby decision in 2013. The courts, all the way to the Supreme Court, said that it was racism with surgical precision, which means he lied. There was no fraud. He lied when he said 2 black women were not qualified enough to get a hearing for the federal Eastern District of the Federal Court. I don't know if you media knows that Thom Tillis literally blocked 2 black women from even getting a hearing. And then he lied and said Thomas Farr, who was the architect and the lawyer that defended the racist voter suppression law, was qualified. And but for 1 vote, Thomas Farr, who lost in court, would be sitting on the Eastern District Court today. Thom Tillis, like Trump, lies about the Affordable Care Act. And Thom Tillis, when he had power, worked to stop the Affordable Care Act, and now in the middle of COVID, over 1 million North Carolinians don't have health insurance. Over 500,000 North Carolinians don't have health care, and 346,000 of those are white, and 30-some thousand formerly connected to the military because of the lies of Tillis. And when you combine the lies of Tillis and the lies of Trump, it's time to tell the truth. So we wanted people who will hear your broadcast to know the truth. The truth is, there is no proof of voter fraud. The truth is, in North Carolina, starting today, voters, regardless of their race, their creed, their color, their sexuality, their party, can register and vote the same day.
Yes, sir.
The same day. Tillis tried to take that away from North Carolinians. They can vote the same day. Young, old, as long as they are 18 years old, born or naturalized in these United States, they can vote, and if they're not registered to vote, they can come and register and vote the same day. From now until October 31st. Am I right, Counselor?
That's right.
We also need people to know that in North Carolina, you can still request an absentee ballot. You have 17 days, 17 full days from October 15th through Saturday, October 31st, of same-day registration and early voting. Nobody has to be shut out.
Yes.
Every county has sites open. I want the media to hear this. Every weekday, and here in Pitt County, they even have days on Saturday and Sunday. This is the truth. Don't believe the lies of Trump and Tillis. You can still request an absentee ballot, and I'll let Caitlin, Attorney Swain, talk more about that, but I want people to know that they can still request it until October 27th at 5 p.m. She will make clear, as an attorney, a civil rights attorney, how they can make sure that absentee ballot is turned in. Then lastly, on November the 3rd, polls across our state open at 6:30 a.m. They close at 7:30 p.m. And everybody that's in line when the polls close, this is important, that are in line when the polls close, they stay put until they vote. If they are in line, they have a right to cast a ballot. We need North Carolinians to vote on it. If they vote on election day, to double check the precinct you're assigned to vote, because it may have changed, but they have that right. So in North Carolina, what we fought for and what we won and what we had to protect from the lying of Tillis and the lying of Trump is, again, 17 days of early voting from today until October the 31st. And in North Carolina, unlike many states, you can register and vote on the same day. You have until Tuesday, October 27th, 2020, 5 p.m. to request an absentee ballot.
Yes, sir.
And on November 3rd, 2020, the polls open. Now on November the 3rd, you cannot register that day. You can only register and vote now. On November the 3rd, you have to already have been registered to vote, but you can vote from 6:30 to 7:30, and you are in line. Even if 7:30 comes, 7:31 comes, if you are already in line, you stay there. You don't have to be in the building. All you have to do is be in line prior to 7:30. It was critical for us that we have, as Marcus said, these across the strait, because we know that Tom Tillis and Donald Trump have tried to sow lies and deceit about voting, and they have targeted this. Voter suppression is always targeted first at black people and brown people and indigenous people, but ultimately, like all racism, racism is targeted at black and brown people, but it ultimately hurts everybody, and it undermines our democracy. It is a lie that there is voter fraud. It is a lie that mail-in ballots is a problem. We've been doing this since the beginning of this republic. It is a lie. The truth is, people like Tillis and Trump do not want all North Carolinians to vote. We do. And all North Carolinians that are 18 years old, born or naturalized in these United States of America, have a fundamental right to vote. And anybody that tries to suppress the right to vote is against democracy. They are against democracy. And if they are trying to suppress the vote, they are pandering lies. So no matter what Trump says at his rally today, no matter what Tillis says if he happens to go there and be with him, North Carolinians can vote. North Carolinians must vote. North Carolinians have a right to vote. And in North Carolina, you've got 17 days beginning today that you can register and vote. If you're already registered, just get in line. If you aren't registered, get in line. You can register and vote the same day from now until October 31st, and you can request that absentee ballot until the 27th at 5 p.m. And if you wait till election day, you have to already be registered, but you can vote. And if you're in line before 7:30, stay in line. Don't move, and don't allow anybody, I don't care who they are, a senator like Tillis or a president like Trump, don't let anybody suppress, stop, stymie, deter, detract your right to vote. Anybody who tries to keep people from voting is an enemy of this democracy. And that is where we stand, and that is why we come today, and that is why we wanted to do this preemptive press conference, so that when people hear the lies at 1 o'clock, whatever time it is, they will already know the truth. Let me invite my brother Dante Sharp, who also was lied on.
Yes, sir.
And because of a lie, he was incarcerated for over 20 years for a crime he did not commit. It's Caitlin and other lawyers fought for his release. And today, Dante moves out of the lie that tried to define him and moves into the truth that has always been him.
Yes, sir.
And that is that he is a man,
Yes.
a black man, a citizen of these United States, And ever since the day he was 18 years old, he had the right to vote. It was taken from him, but now he reclaims it today.
Yes, sir.
And we are glad about it.
Yes.
Let's give him a big hand as he comes. Real clear and succinct, but are there any questions? After Dante and them, I'll try to hang. Okay. Is it about voting? Okay. Okay, all right. Dante?
Hey, good morning, Pitt County.
Yes.
I feel in shock a little bit. I had to go behind Reverend Barber with that good speech and good words he just said, but I'm just glad to be here today in my hometown to participate and, voting for the first time after doing all that time. I used to not believe in the system and voting. That's all we talked about in prison, how the system was, voting was useless. We thought it was already set up. They already had who they wanted. That's the talk to go on in prison. But anyway, I'm just glad to be here. I'm thankful that God saw fit to use these good people behind me and some more people and all the other people to bring me out to partake in change, because this is the way to change things is voting.
Yeah.
We sit around and complain and talk instead of getting up, and being about what you're talking about, what you're whining and complaining about, If you're not going to vote, you shouldn't even whine and complain, I think it's a life or death situation, because I went through, my life was taken from me, and I didn't have to get it back. But God and the people that fought for me and with me brought me out. This is one of the ways to get out and vote, to change things. I was a felon, I didn't know, but I just found out through the good people at Ford Justice that if you're a felony, you can vote. As long as you are not on probation and you don't have any, you're not on any kind of supervision, you can vote. Even if you owe fines and fees, you still can vote. So get out and vote. Don't let nobody stop you. We always talk about change. Well, this is one way to change. This is one of the legal ways. We got so much going on, all the turmoil that's going on with the marching and the rioting and the police brutality, the corrupt judges and everything, the police. But get out and vote so we can change things. Y'all take it easy.
All right. Yes, sir.
Thank you. And Dante just said something that's so critical. Over 1.5 million people in North Carolina did not vote last time that could have. The margin of victory in the president's race was only 170,000 votes. 465,000 African Americans that could have voted did not vote for various or sundry reasons. In North Carolina, if just 19% of poor and low wealth voters were to vote, and by poor and low wealth I mean black, white, whatever, if just 19% more would vote, they could change the election and decide who sits in the governor's office, the Senate seat, and the presidency. North Carolinians have so much power that has yet to be unleashed.
Yes.
So much power that has yet to be unleashed. And Dante is exactly right. Anybody that tries to take your vote, suppress your vote, they're literally trying to suppress your humanity, suppress who you are, suppress the God in you, literally. Because we don't give the vote to pets and parakeets and puppies. We only give the votes to people. And so if you suppress my vote, you're suggesting I'm not a person. But it's time for all of us who know we are persons and we have a right to stand up and to vote. Thank you so much, Dante. And now we have Attorney Caitlin Swain. And any questions you all have, legal questions or whatnot, please direct them to Attorney Caitlin Swain with Forward Justice.
Thank you, Reverend Barber. Thank you, media, for being out here today on this first day of early voting in North Carolina. Welcome to North Carolina democracy. We do it right here in this state. The voters of North Carolina are essential workers in our democracy. And the essential workers in North Carolina deserve respect. We stand on the side of democracy today. Those who would suppress the right to vote stand against democracy today. I want to repeat some of the core points, the core truths of voting in North Carolina, because these were fought and won by the people, and they will not be taken away from the people. Early voting in North Carolina in person starts today. From the first day of early voting, today, October 15th, through Saturday, October 31st, 2020, as Dr. Barber has said, we have 17 full days of early voting. We have more weekend voting hours in North Carolina in 2020 than at any time in North Carolina's history. Every day of the week in North Carolina, every weekday, there is a voting site open for you. Go out and vote. Stay in those lines. If you need to know where your county board of elections is, where your early voting location is, go to ncvoter.org. We have all of the sites there, easily accessible. Do not let misinformation get in your way, North Carolina. On November 3rd, 2020, on Election Day, the polls open at 6:30 a.m. They close at 7:30 p.m. But as Dr. Barber says, we will be with you until the end of the day. If people are in lines around the block, we will have election protection ready to come out and support you. Stay in line. We know that in some states, there are people have been voting till 10 p.m., 11 p.m. That's okay. Everybody's vote will count in 2020 in North Carolina, and we will not let up until every vote is counted. If you need help in North Carolina, if you have a question about voting, if you're having trouble with voting, call 866-OUR-VOTE or 888-OUR-VOTE. We have lawyers. We have law students. We have experts ready to answer your questions around the clock. In Spanish, 1-888-VEE-VOTA. That's 888-839-8682. I'm going to close out my remarks talking a little bit about absentee ballots, because this is something that I think we've had a lot of misinformation about. You can still request an absentee ballot in North Carolina, and if you prefer to vote by absentee ballot in North Carolina, you need no excuse. You put in your request. There is no problem with absentee ballots in this state. The deadline for making the request is Tuesday, October 27th at 5 p.m. You can use the online portal in this state to make your request. Once you've requested your ballot, we have a tracking device. It's called Ballot Tracks, where you can track where your ballot is in the process. And I don't need to tell you, voting has already begun in this state. So far, according to the data released by the state board as of yesterday, the day before early voting started in this state, 1,332,206 voters statewide have already requested their absentee ballots. That's more than 18%. Greater than 1 in 6 of all registered voters in this state have already started voting, have already been engaged in this process, because we will not be turned away from expressing our votes in our democracy. Over 500,000 mail-in ballots have already been returned in this state. That's 500,000 voters who have already voted before the first day of early voting. That's a historic 7% of all registered voters in North Carolina who have successfully cast their ballots. 98% of absentee ballots are being accepted right now. Yesterday, we had a federal court win that clarified that we have a clear cure process. If you make a mistake with your absentee ballot, we are going to help you be able to cure that mistake, and the state has to work with us to do that. If you decide you want to vote from home using an absentee ballot, we urge you, put in your request today. Join us. Put in your request today. Vote early in person or vote early by absentee ballot. Make sure that your vote counts. Last thing that I want to say because of where we are today. We are standing at an early voting site that has history in Greenville, North Carolina. We are standing with Dante Sharp, who was wrongfully convicted for 26 years by Pitt County. And today, he is going to cast his ballot for the first time. He is a part of a movement that is saying we are going to unlock our vote in North Carolina. If you have a criminal record in this state, you can still vote. Go to forwardjustice.org if you want more information about how to vote if you have a criminal record in this state. No one should be deterred by misinformation, by lies, by efforts to distract or depress. We are encouraged. We are a people who were built for this time. And I'm so proud to be standing with this coalition who is ready to ensure that every voter is protected when they go to the polls. Marcus Bass is going to speak to this now, but I just want to say, for the record, from a legal perspective, voter intimidation is prohibited by law, federal and state in North Carolina. Don't try the state of North Carolina on this because we are ready. The voter protection groups are ready. If someone attempts to interfere with your right to vote, call 866-OUR-VOTE, and we will be ready to respond. There is no reason to have people at the polls who are not there to vote, watching other voters. There are criminals out here voting. There are people who are expressing their right to vote, and they are the essential workers who deserve respect, protect, and support. Thank you very much. I'm going to turn it over to Marcus Bass.
So brothers and sisters and the media, one final point, and I'm gonna have to maintain what my security has asked me to do because I have this immune deficiency, so whatever I say has to be from here, okay? I'm not gonna take the media over there somewhere. But anyway, the other lie you may hear from Tillis and from Trump is this lie that we need photo ID. Right. The courts said, from the state to the Supreme Court, our case, that North Carolina's photo ID requirement was unconstitutional. First of all, and the main reason is, and this is important for media to know and others to hear, because North Carolina already has a process that was agreed on by Republicans and Democrats long ago. It's called signature attestation. You sign your name, and if you lie, you could suffer a felony. There's no evidence that people have ever organized a way to falsely sign their names to vote. So it's important today, what we want to do is to challenge these lies so that when they come up today, you will already have sound and facts. Right? And you can say, no, that's not true, because lying is a form of voter suppression. Right? Lying and trying to scare people. Lastly, as Caitlin said, we are not going to tolerate people coming to the polls to intimidate people. It's a federal offense for you to come and intimidate people and try to run people away or frighten them from their right to vote. Now, Trump may have said, stand back and stand by. We say, go home and leave us alone. Because nobody should be intimidated. I don't care if you don't agree with their position. The right to vote must be free and unhindered. The Constitution says no one can deny or abridge. I want the media to have that, abridge. Not just denying the right to vote. You can't abridge my right to vote. And any attempt to do that is rooted in lies and rooted in injustice, and it has no place in a democracy. I've got to go to the next stop. Marcus, who is with the Black Alliance, and the Poor People's Campaign is here, and Forward Justice. Most of all, Dante is here. We're traveling across this state. We will win because we will vote. That is our message. And don't believe the lies of Trump, the lies of Tillis, or the lies of anybody. Believe the truth. It's time to vote, North Carolina. Brother Marcus.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, Bishop Barber, our leader, to come here to Pitt County, Eastern North Carolina, on a day like today, to lay the facts straight, when after this we know Pitt County and the rest of North Carolina will hear lies coming from this same city by folks using their power not to help bring people together but to pull people apart. It is very fitting that we start off today in Pitt County. One of the things that Dr. Barber asked us to do is to lay out very plain what voter intimidation is. Because as you just heard, voter fraud is not real. But what we do see in counties across this state are individuals that are intimidating people to prevent them from voting. Now, voter intimidation is not a new thing. In the very inception of this country, you counted 3/5 of a person just to deny them the right to vote. After that, you denied women the right to vote, only granting land-owning white men and then later black men the right to vote. Voter suppression, voter intimidation is not new. When we talk about racist gerrymandering, when we talk about the ability to have, with surgical precision, marginalized democracy for individuals based on the color of their skin, there are many levels of voter intimidation. And when the people fought back against the racist policies, when the people fought back against voter intimidation, now here we are making sure that across the state in the most expansive early voting period we have seen, that every single voter is going to be protected in North Carolina. Our coalition partners across the state, amassing thousands of individuals that are going to volunteer for 17 days to make sure that people have the power, the protection, and the encouragement to cast their vote safely. Now, it is important that we recognize the right to vote is a right that is given to each and every single one of us. But anyone that tries to undermine that right to vote is not just un-American, not just undemocratic. They do not belong in this system, and they definitely don't have the power to deny anyone the right to vote. So in locations like this location, in locations across Pitt County, in locations across the state, we're amassing PPE for voters that don't have the ability to have disposable throwaway PPE. As a matter of fact, the Black Alliance helped coordinate 250,000 voter safety kits for voters. Those will be distributed across the state in polling places for individuals that don't have PPE, for individuals that need information if they're in the wrong county. They don't have to be in the exact polling precinct. You can just be in any polling precinct in the county and vote. But if you happen to work in Pitt County but live in an outside county and you come to a polling place and you need assistance, we'll have individuals there to assist you with information about the right location. And last but certainly not least, we are going to be, as Caitlin said and as Dr. Barber said, we're going to be there until the last vote is cast. We will not stand back and stand by while voters are suppressed and intimidated. We will stand up and encourage, provide support, and PPE for those that need it. And I'm excited to bring to you today a leader in Pitt County that has been working tirelessly to make sure that voters just have the basic right to get to the polls. Greenville is one of the largest municipalities in this region. And to see cities across the state allow individuals free of charge to utilize the transit system for voting, we thought it was an easy thing for Greenville to do. As a matter of fact, when we talk about power, protection, and encouragement, one of the best things the city can do is continue to provide those free rides in the midst of COVID-19 for individuals across Greenville and Pitt County.
Yes, indeed.
But as we've seen voter suppression be legislated, voter intimidation be systemic, we have seen Greenville deny the right for voters to get to the polls that don't have access to transportation. And Tanya Foreman, who is the leader of the CARES group here in Pitt County, also a member of the North Carolina Black Alliance, has stepped up in the gap in this moment when the city has stood back and let voters be suppressed by lack of transportation to provide access to the ballot for those that may not have cars or transportation. At this time, I would like to welcome Ms. Tanya Foreman to the front.
Good morning. Again, I am Tanya Foreman, the founder of CARE, as well as a member of NC Black Alliance. And I find it sobering as well as symbolic that we are holding this press conference in this location this morning, just yards from the Sycamore Hill Plaza, which was developed due to citizens of our very own community during the Urban Renewal Initiative being forcibly removed from their homes in order to build the town commons that we're standing in front of and this location that we're using for early voting today. That is, again, both sobering and symbolic. Having said that, it reminds me of something that Dr. Barber said, that this election is not just an issue of right and left. It is not at all an issue of right and left. It is an issue of right and wrong. Our United States of America has gotten more and more comfortable with the wrong. And organizations like CARE, NC Black Alliance, the NAACP, and other organizations in our community and other citizens of our community are standing strong to support our citizens to ensure that they are able to exercise their right to vote. I am exceptionally excited this morning to stand in front of you as a citizen of this county and as a citizen of this city to say that we will be here with boots on the ground for the next 17 days. Our organizations will be standing with our citizens at the polls, no matter how long it takes, no matter how many hours it takes, to make sure that every person has the right, exercises their right to vote, and make sure that their voices are heard. Thank you.
All right, at this time, we will entertain any questions. We know that we've had a lot of different things provided for you, but between Attorney Swain, Dr. Marshall, Mr. Sharp, Ms. Foreman, we'll be happy to answer any questions you may have. First of all, I think it is very clear that people's vested interest is not the safety and concern of residents in Pitt County. It is to utilize this city and this space in the midst of COVID-19 to gather people together to further insinuate things that we just told you today were not true. There is no instance of voter fraud in North Carolina. There is no alarm of individuals that need to be rallied to stand up, to fight individuals just going to the polls. There is really even no need to have mass gatherings in the midst of COVID-19. With so much that we've seen on digital, in television, there's so many different ways to communicate with constituents. Why put each other in harm's way despite your own best interest? And so my thoughts as the North Carolina Black Alliance are first for the safety of all residents. Because regardless of your attendance or not, you will have a strong possibility of coming in contact with someone that was at this mass gathering. You might go into a grocery store with someone that was at this mass gathering. You may see someone at a gas station that was in this mass gathering. And for individuals to come together in such large capacities, which is not under the current jurisdiction of North Carolina, I don't believe we can have mass gatherings of this size. So to break North Carolina law just to have what we know to be a conversation that is going to be untrue. We believe that the residents of Pitt County deserve better. We believe that in the midst of COVID-19, our leadership should be taking the safety of individuals very seriously, which is why we don't have a large crowd. Dr. Barber brings some of the largest crowds across the country. He's done it for over a decade. He could have very easily had thousands of people out here before you today. But he made the personal decision to put the safety and security of the individuals in Pitt County and ourselves and you as the media, he decided to put that in priority. And we just hope that the individuals that do decide to attend or those that are going to be in proximity to those that did attend, regardless of their own personal choice, we do hope that they're safe and we pray for their safety.